Fantastic. Well, welcome to the game plan, which is USASBE's preparation, planning, and communications for the USASBE 2022 Pioneer and Persevere Conference, which is a hybrid conference, the in-person portion of it taking place in Raleigh, North Carolina, January 5th through the 9th of 2022. We are pretty excited about the potential for the conference. We recognize that things are a little crazy right now. And so if you were part of the communication plan that went out earlier, or was it, oh man, it might've been late last week. This week has flown by, but we have extended the deadline for all conference proposals and nominations because they were due on August 31st, but we really feel it's important because the Delta variant is messing with everybody's life right now, and especially our work plans. The things that we were planning on doing at the beginning of the semester are all kind of on their side. So we've extended the deadline to Friday, September 10th for all of those awards nominations, lifetime nominations, and all of the track proposals. So I've got a special guest with us today. Her name is Jane Talkington. Jane is a fairly new member of USASBE, and Jane, you actually joined USASBE for the completely virtual conference last year, and that was your first conference, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about what that experience was like. What were your impressions of USASBE and of the conference?
Well, I was dreading a 40-hour virtual conference over my Christmas holiday of people I didn't know a single person. I'd always gone to the sustainability conference every year, and I thought, oh, this is a whole new industry. I don't know anybody. No one's going to talk to me. It's all virtual. So I came in with a pretty grumpy attitude. I'm not going to lie. But I had so much fun. Like, I was the first one logged on. I took the computer everywhere I went. If it was a keynote, I was doing dishes, watching it. And if it was live, I was at every breakout and every after party. I was there for every event, like I was an employee practically. And I met so many people. I got resources I didn't know I needed. I learned how to help students publish books on Amazon. I mean, everybody was so kind and generous. I felt like, oh my gosh, this is my new family. I was just totally adopted as a sustainability refugee running around in entrepreneurship. You guys are so nice. And then of course I got to know Brittany and you, and the staff has been nothing but exceptional. And I think anybody who skips the virtual conference because they're like stupid and crabby like me is making a big mistake. Don't be like me and have this bias against Zoom friends.
Well, and I have to say that your engagement was fantastic, and we've used that example a number of times. That it is what you put into it. So and you certainly put a lot into it. So thank you for that. I also wanted to point out, you're right. You were kind of from a different field and in a different place and space, and you kind of came in and really, you not only enjoyed what you got, but you put a lot back into the community. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. So now we've pulled you in, and you're actually going to be a track chair this year for the Innovative Programs track. You want to share a little bit about that?
I live to innovate. I tell my dean all the time, just let me do something cool today, and just don't stop me. Just let me do something. I don't care how crazy it is if it fails. And I can't wait to meet other people who have that attitude, like, oh, I tried this and it was a terrible failure. Or I tried this and then we pivoted and we did 9 different iterations. I want to hear about all these wacky ideas that got slaughtered on site, a good idea shot on site. I want to hear about the failures and the successes and the learning curves. Gosh, if we could get a couple hundred of those in just to have a snapshot of the overview of what is going on in this field. I think last year especially, we had to get creative because we were all trapped at home. And I know we got super creative. We were already kind of creative anyway, but this pandemic, it just forced us into being uncomfortable and trying new things out of desperation. And I'm sure that is not unique to the rest of the country. So
right.
The time that we can all talk about our war stories and our what happened to us this past year while we were Rip Van Winkling.
I love it. I love it. And it fits really well within our kind of constellation of activities, right? So USASBE focuses on so research tracks, we have teaching tracks, and we have programming tracks. And in programming, you're exactly right. We've been in a situation where we've been trying to like innovate very quickly and really pioneer in some new ways that we need to talk about. And we maybe have some mixed initial results, or maybe some, you're right, like these are things we thought of, we started to implement them, here's what we're learning along the way. So that's where innovation or innovative programs fits. The other side of the programming track, so there's the innovative programming track, the other programming track is called impactful programming. And I just wanted to juxtapose that for everybody real quickly, because impactful programming are programs that have been rolling and actually have some numbers to share. It's like some demonstrable results of here's what we did, here's the results of it. These are things that we are excited about and happy to share. And here's maybe some unexpected things, like it didn't come out as well as we thought we would, but here's what we learned from it. So those are the two different things. And so Jane, from my perspective, somebody like you who's just rolling and rolling and rolling with some really innovative ideation and want to share and consume those ideas, that's perfect for you. And somebody else that's on here, Shane Snipes. Hey, Shane.
Hey.
He's actually a perfect example of impactful programming. So he's been rolling a program for a while and he's got some amazing numbers. Now he's not a track chair, not yet, but Shane, wanted to give a quick little, 90-second shout out about your impactful program.
Yeah, absolutely. And we run a couple of different things. And one of the things I did when I first started, because I was working my PhD when I first started, is I was like, no, this needs to be research-based. I don't want to just create a program that, like, maybe the output is creating a bunch of businesses, but I want to understand why. I want to understand how. I want to get a really good sense of what that is. So we created a couple of different programs. One was a research-based program, which Kauffman Foundation funded to expand, called Citizen Entrepreneur Explorers. And what Citizen Entrepreneur Explorer students do is they actually go out into their neighborhoods. They conduct a research study on entrepreneurship in their neighborhood. They design the question, they design the methodology. They do all this in a semester, by the way. And then they gather the information, they do an analysis, the analysis is analyzed, and they come and actually deliver what they found back to their community. So they're not just putting this thing up on a shelf someplace. They're actually sharing it back with the community, talking about entrepreneurship with their community, building relationships through the research process. And the impact that we've had so far is we're seeing policymakers want to talk to our students, like council members, people like that. And now we're up to, I think we've done about 45 different research programs. And of those 45 programs, at least 16 of them are currently either in the process of going into undergrad research conferences and being presented as undergrad research, or they're being used by different policymakers around the parts of New York City. So that's what we've been working on. And it's exciting to see impact, right? When you talk about impact, what does it actually look like?
Yeah, well, right, exactly. And from the perspective of, like, we all have our thoughts on that, but man, if it needs to be creating new jobs, creating new opportunities for young people, all of those fun things, right? And creating new pathways for people. But that's just my own opinion. So, okay, so the other thing too I want to mention is, as Shane was talking, it reminded me that I mentioned the nominations for awards are now due on September 10th, but that's also Shane's example is another good example of a pedagogical innovation that would fit as a potential for that award. So as you're thinking about your impactful, what you might propose as an impactful program in a submission for the conference, it may also be a good option to submit for an award, a national award for USASBE. So please do take a look at those. We've got the National Model Program Award. We've got the Model Emerging Program Award for programs that just started in the past 3 to 5 years. The Excellence in Pedagogical Innovation Award, and the Excellence in Co-Curricular Innovation Award. So if you're doing something fantastic that you want to brag about, that you want to showcase to the world and say, this is something that others can replicate elsewhere, our program awards are a perfect place for those. So if you've got questions about those, send us an email at info@usasbe.org, but you can also go to usasbelaunch.org, and information about and links to all of our programs are also there for the conference. All right. Anything else cool? Yes, Jane, you've got a question. Go for it.
What if somebody has a new idea they're launching this August and September, and they can launch it and it'll be really fresh and they can deliver it in January, right? It's not
Absolutely.
Even be the present of what we're doing today, right now.
That is absolutely correct. And thank you for bringing that up, Jane. So if this is that's perfect for the innovation track, the innovative programming track, because things are moving so fast and we're looking for new ideas and we're testing and trying out new things. So the innovative programming track is a perfect place for that. If you're excited and energized and are doing something truly creative and want to talk about it, maybe it's a different underserved population or a different niche and underserved population that you're doing, or it's a different modality in which you're trying to deliver programming, or whatever it is, there's so much that you can share and we all learn from those conversations. So whether it's virtual or whether in person, there'll be an opportunity for everybody to connect.
I just want to add one more little piece for me, and that was, track chairs are here, and I'm always excited to talk to people who are actually organizing the tracks and thinking about the tracks for conferences. Because as a community college professor and working in that realm, I often see community college gets put in its own little area instead of being woven through every part of a series of panels. So I think it's an oversight sometimes, and sometimes it's just a matter of the type of networks that we have and who we end up talking to. It's easier sometimes to assemble a panel that we're closely bound with and in different peer groups. I would just say please add community college to every layer across any panel discussion, because it needs to be heard. That 2-year college experience now is a foundational level experience that everyone needs to have when we're talking about entrepreneurship education. And it's certainly at higher education in general. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
I love that. Very supportive of that, by all means. And you're right. It behooves all of us as we're putting together proposals to say, okay, who else needs to be a part of the conversation? Instead of saying, oh, that's going to be a community college track, say, well, I wonder what kind of innovative programs or impactful programs are happening in my community that I might be able to reach out and make a connection with our community college and see if they'd want to participate as well. And panels don't always have to, so here's the other piece. There's the technical piece of it. You can present without having to be there. So if, let's say, the person putting the proposal together wants to go in person to the conference and they're putting together a panel, they don't have to say, oh, but you're going to have to be there in person at the conference. We can have blended panels with some remote and some in person. We've worked through all the technology, and it's viable and effective to do it that way too. So don't let preconceived notions about, is somebody going to have the funding or is this going to be possible? Don't let that stifle the conversation and stifle those that you're welcoming to the table. Okay. All right. I'm sure everybody has tuned out by this point in time, but I appreciate all of your attention.
No, they need to tune in. Everyone should be getting more and more excited about this thing. I love it.
Karaoke part comes in and we all sing along the row, row, row your boat in.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Brittany, you start. Row, row, row your boat.
Oh, good luck with that, Brittany. All right. Thank you all very much. Tune in next week to the game plan as we prepare for USASBE 2022 Pioneer and Persevere in Raleigh, North Carolina, and virtually in the ether. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.